All right, so I'm just going to do a quick review about what's going on and how this bounce is being set up. Again, we see the dailies in a downtrend, but they're pullbacks, right? So this is a daily down, and it's setting up a pullback to test. So that's so that pullback on the daily is going to look like a trend on lower time frames, especially 30-minute and below. It's going to definitely look like a trend. So let's just take a look how it looks. How does the pullback that's happening on the daily, the bear pullback, how does that look uh, on the hourly? All right. So you see it going down, 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 down. But here, like I explained, you have this signature here that's telling you that the downtrend has stopped, has tentatively stopped. Tentatively being the key word. And how do I know that? Obviously, it's oversold position with a hell lot of volume on the way down and up. All right, so if you just read Wyckoff, you'll understand everything. That's what he basically said. Because the force of the demand is overcoming the force of the supply, as indicated by the climax and the heavy volume up. So this is what you call the tentative indication. All right. Now, why is it tentative? Because it typically sets up either the trend or it could be just a temporary move to test a level and then continue the selling. So that's why what you need is more information, and that information comes in two forms. One is the pullbacks, and the other is the higher high, which serves as confirmation because you have a higher low and a higher high. So here, when it goes down like this, that looks like climax. This confirms it's a climax. Why? This is that technical rally or the automatic rally or the change of behavior. There's so many names, I don't know which one to use. All right, but it's really just climactic action followed by demand because strong hands are entering. And then by itself, I don't, it doesn't mean jack shit. Like this right here can easily be sold off. But the fact that it broke the lower channel, went into oversold condition, I'm very confident it's going to be a reaction back up. All right. So, and I could tell on the daily, the volume that came in on the green bar is the biggest in more than 100 bars, 100 days. So someone's buying the low. All right. Either that or they're covering. I don't know. I don't care. It's just going to set some moves up. All right. So this move up is about $1,000, 480,000 contracts. Now, the climax low is about 2,000 contracts. And I have some stuff here where I'm trying to really isolate the demand without getting confused about all the other crap. Because a lot of times you cannot just include all the volume. It's just uh, because there's buying and selling in the waves. So anyway, long story short, you have about 40. One second. What is this? One second. Being annoyed. Anyway, so you have about 480,000 up. Look at how. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? You have 480,000 up, right? Look at the pullback volume. This is a huge clue. Take a look at the pullback volume here. Okay, and watch what I'm going to do. All right. So this is 480,000 up. Look at how much the pullback volume. 85,000. Do the math. 480 and only 85. What is that telling you about supply? Supply is spent. It's exhausted, it's spent, there's a lack of it. The climax has passed. Then it tries to go down again, and look at how much comes out. 74,000. Now, again, how am I going to compare this? All right. I think it's like three-prong approach. Yeah, a three-prong approach. The first thing to note is your typical low volume pullback, meaning you have a rally and a pullback. All right, so that's the first step. The rally and the pullback, 480,000 up. How much down? 85,000 down. Again, 480,000 up and 85,000 down. What does that mean? It's a low volume pullback. That's one type of analysis, meaning you're comparing the up wave to the down wave. Okay? So now what are the only other two options after that? After comparing the up wave to the down wave, you can compare, there's only two other possibilities. You compare the up wave to the prior up wave, and you compare the down wave to the prior down wave. There's only three things you can do with up waves and down waves. You can compare the up wave to the down wave. You can compare the up wave to an up wave, and you can compare a down wave to another down wave. There's nothing else you can do with the waves except this type of comparison. Either up wave can be compared to the down wave, or an up wave can be compared to preceding up waves, and down waves can be compared to preceding down waves. So what is that really when you think about it? When you're comparing the up wave to the down wave, you're comparing demand to supply. When you're comparing the up wave to the prior up wave, you're comparing demand to prior demand. And when you're comparing down wave to the prior down wave, you're comparing supply to prior supply. All right, so up wave to the down wave is demand versus supply. Up wave to prior up wave is demand to prior demand. And down wave to down wave is supply to prior supply. So this is the three-prong approach, which I'll explain later and all that, but these three things, they have within it already baked in confirmation. It's already baked in. All right, if you understand this, anyway, okay. So up wave, I'm comparing right now to the down wave. So you have 480,000 to 85,000. So what's stronger, demand or supply? Obviously, it's demand. No doubt about it. So demand versus supply, who wins? Demand. Okay. Then you compare demand to prior demand. What's the comparison? 480,000 to 44,000. That's more than 10 times the volume came up on this demand. Clearly, demand is greater than prior demand. And then the final check is supply versus prior supply. 85,000 to 2,000 contracts. Supply has gotten weaker. So when you think from the perspective of strength and weakness, or even relative strength and weakness, all right, relative strength, very important concept. You see that demand has gotten stronger, supply has gotten weaker, and demand is greater than supply. And what is that telling you? It's telling you that the market is going to go up. Bingo. See that? These are the, anyway. So goes up, bang, goes up, higher. All right, and confirms higher. and that sets up the turning point, by the way. All right, now over here, you have some supply come in, and now I'm just going to compare the relative strength of supply and demand. 915, $115 and 733 contracts, $794 on only 177 contracts, not enough volume. So this is just testing the high. That's what this is telling me. If you don't have enough volume like that, it's low volume attempt, rally attempt, that's just testing the high. Why? Because $915 down on 733,000. 733,000 is much bigger than 177,000, right? So this whole thing is just a pullback. Okay. So the first thing to note is this big move down, 915 on 733,000 contracts, because this volume is quite high. Relatively speaking, it's greater than at least the 3 prior down waves. And the pullback here is what? It's less. The pullback is less than the prior demand. So, I mean, just think of it like this. Supply is greater than demand. Demand is less than prior demand. And supply is greater than prior supply. Sets up down movement. Why? The volume is saying it's going to go down. Supply is greater than demand. Supply is greater than prior supply, and demand is weaker than prior demand. Therefore, it goes down. Anyway, so it goes down, pull back on only 61,000. So it's going to go down again. And that's what happens. Here you have a shift. What is the shift? You have a 61,000. Here you have 231,000. So what happens? Demand increased. And the pullback, oh, and let's look at supply. Supply goes from 173,000 to 74,000. Supply decreased. Demand increased, supply decreased. And finally, demand is versus supply, 231,000 to 74,000. What does that say? That says demand is greater than supply. Again, comparing demand to prior demand, we see 231,000 to 61,000. Demand is getting stronger because 231 is greater than 61. Supply 74,000 versus 173,000. What does that say? Supply is weak. So demand is strong and supply is weak because 74,000 is less than 173,000. So supply weakened. And the final one, demand versus supply, where you have 231,000 versus 74,000, which says what? Demand is greater than supply. So if demand is getting stronger, supply is getting weaker, and demand is greater than supply, what do you think is going to happen? Market will highly likely go up. The probabilities favor demand. You dig it? And I know you haven't heard this style before because it is not taught. Where was I? Shit. 1 second. And all right. So now for constructing this, we understand that on the daily there is a downtrend. We understand how, what's going on here at some low, where you have the tentative uptrend signal. The confirmation actually came right there, right? And now we have some continuation. But the question is, what is the potential here? That really is the question. That is the question. All right, all drawing tool indications. All right, now I don't want to use a long uh, base, but it is valid to, let's say I start off here, okay? Why? Because let's say you draw a trend line here and you see this as a breakout, or right? So now I'm just going to, yeah, there it is. The cause across this line is 10. And that's the same as taking the count uh, across this consolidation area. All right. So across this consolidation area, oh shit. Yeah, yeah, up to, uh, I think, damn it. Anyway, somewhere here. So I'm just taking the consolidation or the correction and projecting. I'm not, I can take a deeper count and this entire low, but I think it's not a good thing to do that because it's going to overshoot. So anyway, the cause is 10. The effect, let's just draw it out. Around around there. It's about 4,464. Anyway, it's already reaching that. So 4,4, it's gonna go at least that much. That's the projection. Now, if I was to take this entire base, and then it can be a quite a significant move, right? But I think it's not. Um, they're too far out. So anyway, we'll see what happens next. All right, I want to move on. Uh, so here you have a downtrend. Here you have the turning point being set up for a pullback higher. And here you have what happens on those turning points. So today you saw that the market pulled back and trapped shorts, and it used that short covering to go higher. So we'll see how that happened. So the market doing all of this, and then has the down, up, down, right? And that is when it's in an upthrust position. I thought it was going to go lower, but whatever. And what do you see? You see the volume increase. Um, second. 213 versus 95. And you see the demand decrease. Now it's not that apparent, but you can really you can see that the volume here increased. 213.95, so supply increased, demand went from 178 to 170. So that decreased, and then you had 244 increase in supply. After that, demand did come in, and I think it's because they tagged this low. There must have been stops there. This low is 47. This low is 46.75. So you tell me, why is it that it went just one tick lower? I mean, do you think that's a coincidence? So supply is getting greater, demand weakened, and stop run came, and there was a lot of volume, a lot of demand, takes out the high, pull back, but this is where things change, right here, the 35. This is very, very low. This is a big red flag. If it made a higher high and only that much volume, it's a big red flag. This is big, smaller than 387, 170, 178, 136, to whatever, 4, boom. So it's less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 waves. And that weakness set up this down move. So that weakness said, this spring is not good enough. We're going lower before we're going higher. I did a spring to the prior support before. This was the first spring. And said, let's go lower. Let's take these guys out. And from there was massive amount of buying. Here, demand gets bigger. 799 versus 53. That massive increase. And here, supply is totally weak. 653 versus 67. So demand is greater, supply is weaker, and demand is greater than supply. Therefore, we're going up. And that's what happens. As demand is getting greater and supply is getting smaller, all it'll do is confirm that the direction. Yeah. And that's all, folks. Thank you. Bye.